Hello, welcome. I hope you're good, because today we're here on not the best of occasions. And I know there's different opinions whether these videos should exist or they shouldn't. I'm on the side that they should, because one, a book appearing in the worst off list should not mean that you should necessarily feel like you don't want to read it. Two, does not mean that the book is bad. And three, for me, depending on the specific feedback, could save time if I do decide that I don't want to proceed with that book. It's important to talk about things that did work, and then it's also important to talk about things that didn't work. And today I'm here to talk about things that just did not quite work out. I just can't have nice things. There's some books on the list that are absolutely not bad by any means, but they were disappointing for one reason or the other. I guess I'm here to talk about the reason. Let me just talk about the sponsor and then we'll be right back to... Video is sponsored by Book of the Month. They are a monthly subscription box based and shipping within US. They carefully create a list of 5 new exciting books each month for you to pick one from, and then they send it right to your door. Their easy skip policy makes it very convenient if you do want a little break, and they also have an add-on feature where you can order additional books to arrive with your delivery. If you're wondering what sort of books they make a list for you to pick from, the following were February choices. Historical fiction called Peach Blossom Spring by Melissa Fu. An adult fantasy called A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. Literary fiction called Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black. Contemporary fiction Vladimir by Julia May Jones. And lastly, a thriller mystery called The Golden Couple, co-written by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. If I were to pick, I would probably go for one of these two. Now, if you would like to try them out, you can get your first box for $9.99, which is a very good deal for a hardcover, by using the code bookroast. I will link this down below. And thank you to Book of the Month for supporting this channel. So I kind of have 3 categories that I separated the books in. The first category is the books that, again, were really not bad. In my opinion, they were just disappointing. The second category is the books I actually DNF'd. And then the third one is the books that I do think were bad. For me. So I'm gonna go with the random order within the category. So I'm gonna start with The Lost Apothecary. Again, not a bad book. Extremely interesting premise. Following 2 timelines, the past and the present. And in the present, we're kind of unveiling this secret apothecary that women ran for other women in the time that women's needs and security were not really considered. The present part is where this fell so short. It was such a weird parallel. There were just so many missed opportunities. I feel like this could have been nicer, darker, more prevalent. Obviously, this is all personal opinions, but I just felt like, again, this could have been so, you know, and instead, it kind of turned to lukewarm. The character we were experiencing this through was just, I struggled to like them a lot. And not that I always need to like the person, but in this case, I think I did need to like the person. There was such a self-imposed importance on what she was doing that did not come across like it would be actually real in this situation, and there were decisions to keep information away from certain people that just made no sense to me, and that kept pulling me out of the story. And so yeah, it was a shame, because otherwise it could have been such an inspiring feminist piece of literature, but I don't know, it was a bit too domestic as well. Pretty much all of the books I think in this category were 3 stars, and this was as well. Yeah, such good premise, and it did generational stuff quite well. I mean, like, there was, you know, a child, an adult, and an elder. That was nice, but yeah, the present chapters really let me down. The next one is Nevermore. I know. I should have put that in the disclaimers. Please don't be angry at me. I mean, if you want to, go ahead. Every book that I picked up in this list, I obviously intended on liking or wanted to like. Otherwise, I just wouldn't have bothered trying them. You might be disappointed in me, but no one's as disappointed as I am. Yeah, Nevermore. It was just one of those books that everyone said, like, oh, you will probably really like this. If you like any of the middle grade, you'll like this. And I've been having such a hard time with middle grades. They just do not pull me in. It was not a good fit, and I was sad about that because there's so much magic to experience in middle grade. So I was really hoping this was the one everyone was saying that I will like, and it was alright. It was alright, but I did have to like encourage myself to pick it back up, and overall, oh, don't hate me, but I just feel like it was nothing special. I'm sorry. I can't even remember a lot of things. Some things just came across like too sweet, which I understand is the point. Like, I get it. It's a me, not a you. Like, did that sound like Mario? But it's a me issue. So this one in particular, again, it was 3 stars. It was just really sad because now I feel like I just don't have a place in that particular age category books, because you guys said that if I like anything, I like this, and I didn't. I mean, I did, but I didn't, you know? Like, I don't have any intention on continuing with the series, so the next one made into the most disappointing category in my book awards video, so it's not gonna be news, but it's The Golden Sun. Again, not terrible, 3 stars. It's just, it made me lower the rating of the first book in the Red Rising series, and I was just so frustrated with the first 100 pages where we didn't get any of our favorite characters. Then the same plot twist trope was continued like 3 or 4 times, and it really lost the novelty and the shock factor that it was very necessary for me to keep enjoying the book. I don't know, I still feel like maybe it was like a very wrong time to read it, but I just had such high, like when I read Red Rising, I thought I found my new favorite series. So because of that, the disappointment level was obviously like much higher than if this was any other series. And that is why this book is here. Another one I spoke fairly recently, it's a psalm for the Wild Build. Again, this is one of my favorite authors, and this is the first book of the author that I didn't love from the bottom of my heart. So because of that, it's disappointing. Again, it's a 3 star. I just felt like it could have been an essay rather than a novella, which is the first time that I say that. But I really felt like everything that needed to be said and had any type of impact was in the last 3 or so chapters. And everything before that was unnecessary. So whilst I enjoyed the conversation, I just felt like for such a short book, it felt like it dragged, which is not to say that the pacing was unexpected. I know what to expect going to Becky Chambers' books. I love the slowness and the intention behind it, and I vibe with it, so it wasn't that, but it wasn't it for me. Sad. This is a sad video. Next one was a very anticipated read by me because of the theme, and I actually really enjoyed the first 30% or so. I was going like, oh my god, this is gonna be a 5-star book, I'm so pumped. Main reason, which is gonna be no surprise to anyone, is that it dealt with multiverse. And as we started to explore and find the multiverse, I was just really excited. Well, not find. We already know about it from the very beginning, but that aspect of the book, which maybe is my fault, but I just imagine that this is gonna be a much more vital part. The existence of multiverse is a vital part of the plot. However, after like, I'd say that we make like maybe 2 jumps, and that's about it. There was a very satisfying plot twist, but again, it was towards the beginning of it. And then after that, it was very much just about corruption, which is not a topic that I dislike, but it was just because the expectation was somewhere else, and I knew that this device is present in this particular story and that it's not being utilized to any extent. I felt so robbed. So again, there was nothing wrong with the book. It's just that the direction it took was not where I wanted it to go. From the books that I've mentioned, this is probably the most enjoyable the ones so far. It just still let me down because of my expectations. So again, not a bad book. I just felt like it clickbaited me into it. Like it manipulated me to go into this thinking it's gonna be one thing, and then it wasn't. Like even on the back, it says of the 380 realities that have been unlocked, Kara is dead in all but 8. So you really get a sense that, oh my god, there's gonna be so much to explore. And like that number 8 is also just like a number that's doable. And I thought that was on purpose. I thought that maybe we are going to interact with the 8 realities, but the way that it's set up, you really cannot. And as soon as I realized that, I got quite sad about it. So yeah. And the last one in this subcategory is Ascender. Again, it was fine, but it was just fine after me really loving this Ascender, which was the 6 volumes that came before this. And Ascender is kind of like a spin-off or a continuation following the child from the first one when they are a little bit more grown up. It took like a weird, more almost like a fantasy turn into this, more so than sci-fi from the beginning. And I don't know if it was that. I'm still gonna continue, but this was a 3-star, and it was just a little bit of a letdown after the series and me loving the series so long. For so long, so I don't know. We'll see. This is to be continued, but I thought I'll mention because it was a little bit disappointing to me. I'm gonna go and touch up on the DNFs, which are very painful. So the first one is Sword of Kagan. This I speak about this and why I DNF'd at length in the video where my friends pick my TBR. If you've not seen it, I will link it down below. It's chaptered as well if you just want to see my thoughts on particular book. And I got so many comments saying that I stopped just where things have gone and like turned into being really good, like really, really good, the payoff and everything like that. That being said, I stopped here. This is a big book. Big book. Small font. Well, writing is maybe not necessarily dense, but the world building, the exposition, big part of why I didn't want to continue, because it was work. And like a lot of high fantasies at the beginning are work, and then the payoff, you know, sweet payoff. When I say here, this is 300 pages. It took me days. I am not the fastest of readers. It took me days to get to that point. Days I could be reading something else. I could be enjoying something else. There were some parts, obviously, that I did enjoy, but the amount of repetition, I feel like I'm such a lone wolf on this particular hill. I just did not see anything special. I'm so sorry. I just did not see anything special about this. Everyone is talking about how emotionally involved they got, and I don't think that it takes a lot for me to emotionally be involved. And it just didn't do anything for me. It just seems like a little bit excessive. So I might have stopped just before things got good. But if a book takes 300 pages to get good, I need to have some type of hook to carry me to that point. And I just didn't have that. Very sad. I'm sorry. I know I've broken hearts with this one. Another one, just to continuously isolate myself from everyone and their mothers. The Bear and the Nightingale. I have DNF'd this one again at like 60%, 50%, halfway maybe. I don't know. I might pick this up again. Unlikely though, maybe. This one is a Russian folklore inspired kind of a retelling. I just found it extra boring. There were some parts that I quite enjoyed, but I found it very, very bland. I struggled to care. I really did not care what's gonna happen to anyone in the story. Relationship between some women really frustrating. It just did not vibe. And now I'm getting to the books that I did finish, but that they got 2 or less stars. First up, a book that had all the keywords, all of the promising things that I thought I'm gonna be enjoying. Fireheart Tiger. Very much acclaimed author. I couldn't even tell you what this was about. I do remember the girl being stuck in this very much self-pity hole, and that continued. This is a novella. This is a novella that I just feel like I could have done without. This was supposed to be a sapphic relationship. I felt entirely like lukewarm about it. There was no rooting because I didn't feel like I knew the characters well. I remember that the main character kept making really uninformed, questionable decisions, and then at the same time was always moping about how their mother is not giving them more power. And I'm like, but maybe those decisions that are not great is the reason. It was an odd one, and I really wanted to like it, and the setting was beautiful. I remember specifically that one comparison was to like Howl's Moving Castle, and maybe that tripped it up because it was just really, I think the elemental aspect was the only thing that was between that, and I wish we had more of it, but we didn't, and I don't know. It was a 2-star. The only reason I finished, I think, is because it was quite short. The writing style was actually okay, I didn't mind it, but anything else, just, you know. Next one is The Maidens. It's the most falsely advertised, but well, not really, but definitely a false advertisement if it was a book. The cover, the pitches were always, you know, dark academia. Other than the fact that this is in a university, it felt nothing like dark academia to me. We are a victim to the trope of someone completely unqualified solving and taking upon themselves to solve a mystery. We have a shock value resolution that came out of kind of nowhere. There was nothing in the meantime for you to actually solve it yourself. There were so many dumb things that the main character did. I am so surprised that they didn't die like 15 times over. It just like, the more I look back at it, the worse it is. I gave it 2 stars, but it probably is like a good candidate for 1. They were just so few things that gave you what it promised. It honestly, if you're on the fence, I would go as far as to say that you might not be missing a lot if you give this one a miss. And I really like The Silent Patient, so I was really excited on reading this, but by the time I got to it, I have already heard not great things, but I still held hope. I was like, you know what? I'm like the queen of unpopular opinions. Just because other people didn't like it doesn't mean that I won't. But fam, people were right. People were right. This was odd. The one good thing that it really got going is how easy it was to read, and it was really entertaining. I remember this vividly because I was reading while I was painting the walls, and it was just really entertaining, and I kept laughing at the stupid stuff that kept happening. I think that's how it got 2 stars, because it was really entertaining. So I don't regret reading it, but I do not understand why it is done the way that it's done. It was just... Another one that I have gone into a rant, and I think it's like, that's like the first pretty proper roast I've done, again in the video where my friends suggest what I read. If you're interested, I'll wave a knife. Again, I'll link it down below. But that one was The Kiss Thief. I'm honestly just gonna leave it there. If you want to see my thoughts, go into that video, because it's yeah. That's it. Then the very last one is The Rat Queens, Volume 5. The fact that this is Volume 5 will tell you that I've been with the series for quite a long time, because they keep coming out. But I started when there was only a couple out. Big fan. Really like Rat Queens. It's so fun. It's like kind of like, don't take yourself seriously, but cover some serious topics. This one actually had such a beautiful Dave chapter at the beginning. I said this a lot, but I just wish the whole volume was for his side of things, because that was great. But then the rest of it was the weirdest nonsensical thing. They just didn't like. They tried really hard to do something, and I feel like it really did not connect to the reader. It really felt disjointed, and I'm not the only one thinking that, actually. Logan felt the similar way, and if you look at the reviews, a lot of people were just like, huh? Like, it felt really different and felt a bit weird. I don't know if any of the authors actually changed in this one. I'm not quite sure. I'm still gonna very much continue, because I do really like all of the previous volumes, but this one was just not it. Like, the story could have literally just skipped this and it would have been totally fine. Apart from the Dave thing, the Dave special was amazing. That's all of the books that I felt tricked me or like just didn't pan out. Again, a lot of them are probably gonna be amazing to a lot of readers. It just, you know, when sometimes things don't do that, don't mash up with you, leave you heartbroken and crying, but not in the way that it was intentional. It's sad, but it's fine. We're fine. Let me know what was the most disappointing book for you this year. I would love to know. Let me know why as well, so I know whether that's a reason that I think would impact me as well. Thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, stay kind. Hope your 2022 is filled with books that do not make a list of the most disappointing. And I'll see you very soon. Bye!